welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the DCL Duo podcast, brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel. And Sam, I can see you are safely ensconced in your green room with all of the Mickey accoutrement, the popcorn bucket collection, the Pottery Barn pillow, the Hanukkah blanket. Oh, I see you going for your new zero popcorn bucket that we got at Disneyland. Yes.
Yes, I am. I also have, as I was showing Sarah before we started recording, I'm actually drinking tea out of my Norway Starbucks cup that we got in Stavanger, Norway on our cruise. So I'm just, it's hanging out. It's cold here in Seattle today. So,
Yes, it is
but
chilly.
so but I'm happy to be inside now after wet and cold outside time at Nathan's soccer. I'll call it practice, but it's like little kid soccer. So.
It's practicing something, but I don't think it's soccer. So
Yeah.
there's that.
It kind of looks like soccer.
Yes. Well, and we are a little bit behind the ball today because, we had to set our clocks back an hour last night, which I was shocked that we stayed in bed as long as we did today. But here we are. We are ready to record and excited to welcome our guest, Sarah, to the show. Welcome, Sarah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited.
Thanks for being with us.
Sam loves doing first-time cruise episodes. It's one of her favorites. So we are excited because we've had quite a few of them of late. So we love hearing from first-time cruisers. And so
I love them because I feel like I get to relive my first time on Disney Cruise Line through the eyes of somebody else. It just like brings me back to that first cruise. And I just love that. Yeah. When everything's new.
We've spilt the beans a little bit here in terms of your background with Disney Cruise Line. But what is your background with Disney, Sarah? How did you decide to take a Disney cruise? Usually that's because you're a Disney fan. And so, what's your background with Disney? And have you cruised before?
So yes, I am a Disney fan. The only park I've been to is Disney World, but I've been there 7 times, twice as a child, 5 times as an adult. And we decided to go on a Disney cruise because that's what our group of friends who we traveled with all wanted to do. And the idea sounded super fun, especially because the parks have been kind of crazy to navigate lately with all the Genie Plus and all the changes. So this was a nice change of pace for a more relaxing trip, especially with like a larger group. It was much easier to coordinate with everyone.
Oh yeah. It's I feel like planning a Walt Disney World trip now, you need like a degree in Walt Disney World. Like Brian and I who go to Disneyland quite a bit more than we go to Disney World. We're always like confused at like, okay, wait, when do we have to book dining? And when do we, can we buy Genie Plus in advance? Do we not buy in advance? It's so complicated now. What park am I going to? What time can I park hop? I don't know. I never remember any of it. So
It's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah.
We prefer Disney Cruise Line. It's got everything. It's such a much more relaxing, or it has been a much more relaxing vacation. They've introduced some elements from the parks into the Wish that were a little frustrating there in the beginning, but they've since backed off of most of them. So have you cruised before, Sarah? Was this your first cruise and your first Disney cruise, or had you been cruising before?
Yes, first to everything. I've never actually had even seen a cruise ship in real life before getting on this, so it was very new.
Oh my goodness. And tell us about your traveling party. How many people and what's the demographics of the group that was going with you?
So, in our stateroom, it was just me and my husband, but our larger group was a total of 19 of us, 17 adults and 2 kids. So yeah, we had a large friend group and we came from all over. We had, people all across the country and we had a couple of people from Canada in our group. So we all kind of met in Miami a couple days before and started our trip that way.
That's awesome.
Nice. How did you land on this itinerary? Because you went out of Miami. And so how did you decide to cruise out of Miami as opposed to maybe Orlando, which I think is a little bit more typical for first-time cruisers? But how'd you land on Miami and the sailing that you took?
So the person who was kind of heading all the travel plans suggested 3 different options for us to choose from. One was this one. One was the cruise out of New York City that goes, I think it's to, where does it go? Bermuda, I believe.
Bermuda, yes. You just
that
recorded
was
a show about that one. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that one sounds interesting. And then also a Wish cruise. And we landed on this one just because the dates worked well for everyone. And also it was, well, spoiler alert, supposed to be a double dip to Castaway Cay, but that did not happen.
Oh, bummer. Well, I think you made a good choice for I'm gonna give you 2 reasons why I think you made a good choice. One, the New York to Bermuda cruise, while it sounds like a cool itinerary, kinda rough seas. So spoiler for that show, which that show will be out, sometime in the coming months. But yeah, kind of rough seas.
Mm.
And then I think you chose better by going on the Dream for 5 nights than the Wish, only because you got a longer cruise, you know? Otherwise,
Yeah,
you would have
5
been on a
nights.
3 or 4 night. Yeah.
It was perfect. It was, just enough where we really felt comfortable with the ship, but not too much that we were, "When is this gonna end?" kinda thing.
Yeah.
Especially because there were a lot of first-time cruisers in our group, so it was
Yeah.
a good
Nice.
compromise.
Nice.
So you said it was supposed to
Well,
be a double dip. What were there any other ports that you guys were either supposed to go to or did go to?
Nassau was the other port, and we did make it, just not on the day that we were supposed to make it to Nassau because we sailed during Hurricane Ian, so that's what altered all of the plans.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
well, I'm curious, did you go down to Miami for any amount of time before the sailing, or did you get into Miami the day of the sailing? Maybe we should ask Sarah, where are you coming from?
So I'm coming from New York, and we flew down the day before the cruise. Most people in our group either flew down the day before or 2 days before. Um, and then we stayed in the Intercontinental Miami, which was right near the port. It was probably like a 5-minute lift drive to the port from the hotel. The type of room that we booked, it was a bay view room. So when we woke up in the morning, we could see the ship out of our hotel room window. So that was super exciting. So I would recommend that hotel if you want to be able to wake up and see the cruise ship when you wake up the morning of the sailing. So that was really fun.
Nice,
That's
nice.
awesome. That's awesome. We love doing that in San Diego. It's the same thing. You've got there's hotels like right across the street. And so you can actually, if you get a room that faces the water, you can actually see the ship when you wake up in the morning. It's so fun. What was your impression of the ship? You said you had never even seen a cruise ship before. That's kind of crazy to me.
I know. They were huge. I mean, we could see some ships when we got there the first day because there was obviously different cruise lines in the port. So just seeing them in real life, it's just amazing that they float and stay above water with how big they are. But yeah, it was really cool.
Awesome.
Um, and just like the atrium, walking into the atrium and just seeing all, like the decorations and stuff. It was very stunning.
That's awesome.
How did you get from your hotel to the port? Did you just take an Uber or Lyft, or did you
We did
use some sort of
lift, yeah.
hotel provided transportation? Okay, so you did Lyft. Okay.
Yep.
And what did you think of the port terminal?
I have nothing to compare it to, but it was easy. On the Disney website, it said what terminal we were in. We were in, I believe it was Terminal C. So we just put that in when we arranged for our Lyft driver. So he drove us right to that terminal, and then we parked right there. And there was the porters like immediately there helping us with our bags and directed us where to go. And it
Yep.
was very easy to find everything.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, stepping back for a second, did you book this cruise yourselves? Did you use a travel agent at all? Like, how did you book the cruise?
We used a travel agent who booked for our entire group. So they had
Oh,
us
okay.
all linked together. So it was very easy.
And was
Yeah.
this everyone's first sailing, or had your friends been on a Disney cruise before?
Some had been on a few before. Some
Okay.
people it was brand new, so we had a mix in the group.
Okay.
That's
So you're
awesome.
not all first timers, and some folks had some Castaway Club status. How did you approach, your pre-cruise activity planning, right? Because it's tiered out on Disney Cruise Line,
Hmm.
platinum, gold, silver, everybody else. Uh, did you get the things that you were hoping to do? How difficult was that? And how was the kind of the activity booking before you sailed?
So we had a mixture of people who were silver and people who had no status. So the people who were silver, they were able to get a little bit more stuff than we were. Some of them got Palo brunch, but by the time the people with no status booked, there was no Palo brunch left. I was able to get Remy dinner for me and my husband, which we definitely knew we wanted to do that. That was no problem getting like at the time we wanted and everything. So that was
Mhm.
easy. The beverage seminars, when we first went into book, those were pretty full, but I just kind of kept checking back sporadically. And before we sailed, I was able to get into the two that we wanted. If you just check back frequently, that I always saw spots open up, so that was
Oh,
nice.
that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, your friends who got Palo brunch, did they book enough for the others in the group to join, or did you?
You
Because I'm not
can.
sure if
You
I know
yeah.
what, huh? You
You can't
can, yeah, you can.
I thought you can't unless they're the same status.
I thought if you had linked reservations, you could use the gold folks could book for a group because what you're booking is a table. You're not booking necessarily a table for
No,
two.
you
You
have
can
to
book a table for four.
no, but you remember in the app, you have to click the names of the people, and the names of the
Right. That's
people
what I'm
won't
saying.
be
That's what I'm saying. If your reservations are linked.
I understand, but they will be faded out if it's not their booking window, so you can't
All right,
actually
I'm gonna go check
select.
on this. You ask the next question then, and I'm gonna go check on this because I'm fairly certain you can. But we'll edit that part out. But you ask the next question.
Were you able to get into when you got on board, did you guys check about getting into Apollo brunch or anything as a group? I know that there is obviously some of the availability is held back. I'm just curious as to whether or not that was something you guys had asked about.
So some of us did decide to waitlist for Palo Brunch. I don't believe anyone got in who was waitlisted. I know we didn't. I think it was
Mhm.
a very adult heavy sailing since it was September. So there weren't a ton of kids on board. So I think that's why it was harder to get in. And then a lot of the people had separate reservations for Palo dinner. And they
Mhm.
were actually able to combine them and they got the private room. But that was the night that my husband and I did Remy, so we did not join them in the private room, but they said that was really special.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, both are amazing, but I think you scored with going to Remy dinner.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
I
that
was
was great too.
Yeah, but I was going to give that tip actually about the private room. If you have a larger group, and even if you haven't booked in advance, it's and if you can't seem to get off the wait list as a smaller group, but if you have a bunch of folks together, you can ask about the availability of that private room. And we were able to get it on our Norway sailing for brunch, and we ended up being I think 10 of us. So I mean, it can accommodate maybe 12 or 14 or something like that. It definitely could accommodate more than the 10 of us that were there. I just can't remember. Oh, I'm sorry. That's on the Magic though. So the Dream one might actually even be able to accommodate even a larger party. But
Oh, nice.
yeah, but glad to hear you were able to get some stuff ahead of time, and stalking the app really does work. So
It did, yeah.
So, let's talk about getting on board. Curious as to whether or how smooth the boarding process was. I'm guessing you kind of had probably a middle of the road boarding time, rather than a super early boarding time. Is that fair to say?
Well, we did the online check-in and it was very uncooperative. So the way it worked is we all could go on the same night. I think it was 30 days before and try to get our boarding time. And the website was terrible. Like it was not letting anyone do anything. And it's like
Mhm.
I committed like an hour of time and then most of my friends did too. And then they all were like, okay, I'm going to bed. And I was like, well, I've already spent an hour. Like I am determined
I
to
gotta
just
get this
get this
done.
done. I was like, I already stayed up this late. I'm just going to keep going. So I persisted and I got boarding group number 3. So we had the earliest time, which was a port arrival time of 11.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome. But
yeah.
yeah,
And
so
our
you were up
friends,
until what, like 2 a.m. or something?
yeah, it was something ridiculous. But so we were one of the first sailings that didn't have the COVID testing requirement.
Mhm.
So that made it very easy. There's no testing beforehand or at the port. And it seemed that they were much more relaxed about port arrival times with that requirement being lifted
Mm.
because my friends who had later boarding groups, they were able to get into the port pretty much the same time that we were. And we could hear people being told like they had like a later boarding number and they're like, oh, it's fine, go on through. So they were much more relaxed about that whole process compared to what I believe it was before.
Oh yeah, that definitely was not the case, at least not in the other ports, and when testing was required, it was they would turn you away if you showed up too early or make you wait outside depending upon which port it was and what the arrangement was. So that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Was it a smooth process getting on board, or we don't know how it is in Miami, I'll be perfectly honest. Brian and I have never sailed out of Miami. Or Actually, well, I've never sailed out of Miami, period. I don't know if Brian, if you've ever sailed out of Miami on another cruise line, but I know you haven't on Disney. But yes, just curious as to whether or not how organized were they and how smooth was the process.
It seemed good to me. I mean, we were waiting. I had a port arrival time of 11 and got there at 11, but we didn't board the ship until 12:30. Some people seem to think that we should have maybe been able to get on a little bit sooner, like closer to noon. But I mean, it was fun waiting in that little room because they had, like the Disney music and they had the little spot where you could take your picture, and everyone was just excited. So, and a lot of my friends had arrived by that time, so it was no problem hanging out. And then, once they called your number, it was very easy. You just walk on the ship and they do the thing where they announce your name. And then they told us right where to go for our muster drill. So we just went. There was a person with a clipboard by the number, and we didn't have to watch a video. They just explained it to us, and then they
Mhm.
checked our name off. So I never had to go in the app and watch anything. They just checked us off. So that was very
Oh,
easy.
Yeah, we
yeah.
are desperately hoping that process continues. We've been hearing rumors that the Coast Guard may make them revert to everyone
Oh,
standing on
no.
the deck. So,
Yeah, no,
uh,
I will say I have it on good information that it is going back to a in-person live muster drill
ugh,
before November.
this is why we can't have
Bummer.
nice
I'm sorry,
things. This
before
is why we
December.
can't have
Sorry,
nice
before
things.
the end of November, before December.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
bummer.
God,
Yeah.
the some of the of anything good that came out of the pandemic, virtual muster drills is got to be at the
And
top of the
virtual
list. So,
queues. Yeah, virtual muster
yeah,
drills, virtual queues. I mean, like, for
yes.
guest services, chatting through the app, there's a ton of stuff. None of the Now, I know, Sarah, you hadn't been on the cruise line before the pandemic, but none of that existed. I mean, there was an app, but you couldn't chat with any crew member. You could just chat with, like, your friends through the app.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of features on there now that didn't exist before that are really kind of awesome.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well,
anyway, you get
I will shed a tear if that happens before our December sailings. But yeah. So anyway, you get on board, Sarah. Where do you head first as a group? This is the moment of decision. Is it lunchtime? Is it room time? Is it pool time? Where do you head?
So we all kind of got on a little bit staggered since we all had slightly different boarding numbers. My husband and I just kind of wanted to figure out the layout of the ship because we, had no idea like which direction was forward or aft. Like we didn't know anything. So we just kind of walked around and kind of got our bearings. A lot of our friends wanted the rainforest room passes. So a lot of them
Hmm.
went there first to get those passes. Um, and then, after we all kind of went to the places we wanted to go, someone's table was not with the rest of ours. So someone went, down to that dining table to try to get their table moved to be with the rest of the group. And then some people put their names on the wait list for the adult dining. But then a group of us met at Cabanas to get lunch, which it was fine. I think that as a first time cruiser, it was nice because I didn't want to spend a lot of time sitting down in a restaurant. I just wanted to kind of get my food and keep moving and doing things. But I think if we went on another cruise on a ship that we weren't eager to explore, I would definitely do the sit down lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that is a perfect I think that's a perfect way to do it, especially as a first-time cruiser. You really don't I mean, you could spend a lot of time at the sit-down lunch. It can be slow. It's slower certainly than getting your own food at Cabanas, and so I understand if you're, wanting to either get spa appointments booked or go explore or, check things out, get to your room, whatever. Yeah, doing a quick Cabanas lunch is a smart tactic, although the craziness of Cabanas always makes me a little crazy, so
Yeah, it was hard to find a table and it was raining, so the outdoor tables were wet, but it all worked out and it was good. But then as soon as we were done eating, we went to go see if our rooms were ready, and they were. So we were able to drop our carry-on bags off, and we got into our bathing suits and we did the aqueduct because I knew that I wanted
Nice.
to make sure I did it. I didn't want to keep putting it off and then forget. So that was really fun. We were able to do it twice with basically no wait, back to back. So that
That's
was really
Nice.
fun.
awesome. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is a very good, that's a pro tip, Sarah. Excellent job. I
So
would
what
love to know what kind of cabin you guys got, and what you thought of it.
So we had the veranda room. It was not the family sized one, the smaller sized one. And it was on the forward section. It was pretty close to the stairs and elevator. So I thought it was very convenient to get to it. It was on deck um, 10. So that was nice. It was right by the spa, which worked out good because a lot of people who were traveling with people who weren't like their spouse or part of their family who were sharing rooms with friends, they got the rainforest room passes, and then they were able to use the spa showers for getting ready, and that was just right below us pretty much. So that was really, or above us, I don't remember. It was just one level different, but yeah, so it was really easy for them to get to the spa. And we were close to like the Cove Cafe, which was really nice in the morning. So I would
Nice.
go for that spot again.
Now,
Awesome.
did your friends and you have staterooms near one another or adjoining, or were you kind of all over the ship?
So we were all in a row except for one cabin who was traveling with their children. They got a family size veranda and they were a little bit on a different floor, a little bit further down from us, but they weren't too far away. But all the rest of us had adjoining rooms.
And did you get
Nice.
them to open up the balconies for you?
So they did on some spots because one side opens and then the other side just has like a little tiny like hole that they don't open. But so they were
Hmm.
able to open some sides of the balconies for some people.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of a little mismatched, but some people did.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. And where was dinner on your first night?
It was at Animator's Palette.
Ah, did you start off with the animators show, or was it a no show evening for animators palette?
It was a show. We were kind of far away from the screens and we were like a louder group. So I don't think anyone actually heard the show or paid attention to the show, but there was a show going on with Crush, so couldn't tell you anything about it.
Well, spoiler, it is just Turtle Talk with Crush. If you've done Turtle Talk with Crush at Disney World or Disneyland, it's very similar. So it's just somebody
Yes.
talking to you and teaching you words like dude and awesome and stuff like
And
that. So
chaw.
it's Shaw. That's right. It's cute. If you get picked as the person that Crush is talking to, it's super cute. And sometimes Crush will make fun of, somebody at your table, and that's always really fun. But
No.
yeah, but I will say I really we both Brian and I really like the animation magic show at Animator's Palette. That's definitely the favorite for us. Oh, awesome.
Nice.
What did you think of the food? And I think should we talk more broadly about the food, Brian, or are we wanting to talk about just animators?
Well, I don't care. Re-ask the question though,
No, I
depending on
know.
which way you
I
want to
know.
go.
Okay. So I'd love to know your thoughts about, main dining food. I know this is your first time on Disney Cruise Line. You had animators, you had Enchanted Garden and Royal, I can never remember if it's Royal Palace or Royal Court. It's the same. They're pretty much the same between the Fantasy and the Dream, just with slightly different name. I don't even know why they did that. They should just call them both the same thing. But how did you like the food in main dining?
Yeah, we enjoyed it for the most part. We actually didn't get to eat dinner at Royal Palace because we had Remy booked that night. So we ate
Oh,
Ooh.
twice at Animators. One was the pirate night, one was the regular menu, and twice in Enchanted Garden. The first night at Animators, I was just super excited to be on the ship, so my appetite wasn't the biggest, but I knew that you love the truffle prissettes, so I knew to order those, and those were super good.
yay!
Yeah, so those were great. And then at Enchanted Garden, my favorite was I believe it was a sea bass
Oh
entree.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was really good. But that night, definitely had a bigger appetite, but I had eaten so much other food, but by the time I got to dinner or to dessert, with the sticky was it sticky date
The sticky
pudding?
date pudding.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
warm
I
sticky
ordered
date.
it for all I could eat was just one bite, but the one bite was super good. So next time I'll have to save more room for it.
Well, I am very proud and very flattered that you tried all my favorites because 'cause they're awesome, and I do love that sea bass. I'm not a huge fish person, so I don't order it a lot, but also we haven't been on the Fantasy or the Dream in a while, and that's always in Enchanted Garden. Um, but it is actually it's a super good sea bass dish, so
Yeah, I
delicious.
liked it a lot.
Awesome. And then I'd love to hear your thoughts about cabanas as well as probably the quick serve. Let's save Remy for a little bit later in the show. Because I feel like that's always a highlight. But yeah, what did you think about the food in cabanas, the quick service food on deck, that sort of a thing?
Yeah, so cabanas, I loved the variety. Like there was always, you could always find something that you were in the mood for there. I felt like the quality was kind of hit or miss with some of the things, but I was always able to find something that appealed to me and tasted good. We went there a couple times for breakfast, once for lunch, and then one time we went for lunch. I actually went to Penelope's and got like a big ice cream, so I mostly ate that for lunch, and that was really good. Yeah, and then we did the quick service. I tried the chicken tenders because that's what everyone says are the best, and they were very good. Those were awesome, but that was the only quick service food I got.
Yeah. Well, you went for the star, right?
Yes.
On every ship except for the Wish, the chicken tenders are the star on the pool deck. On the Wish, it's the barbecue is the star on the pool deck. So not to
Yes,
say
I've
anything bad
heard.
about the chicken tenders. It's just, that barbecue is just fantastic. Well, awesome. Let's talk a little bit about what you all got up to on the ship. It's a large group, most of you adults though. So I'm curious, did you guys spend a lot of time in the adult only areas like the pools, the spa, the bars? What did you all get up to?
Yeah, so at night, we pretty much always ended the night at Evolution. Not everyone always made it every night, but someone from our group was there pretty much every night. So we got to know the entertainment staff there pretty well. Mauricio was our person who like led all the events, and he was great. And he said that our group like really helped to make like the vibe there at night a lot of fun because we had some
Oh,
people in our
fun.
group who were very they volunteered for everything, and we had one couple in our group was on the Match Your Mate on the first
Oh,
night, so
love
that really
it.
just kind of kicked it off, and that was super fun. Um, and then other than that, we kind of would usually just go to like a one of the pubs or bars before Evolution, after dinner, after the show. But during the day, we kind of all did, our own thing for the most part. And people
Mhm.
who wanted to meet up and do the same thing did that. So sometimes we would all meet up at one of the adult pools. Sometimes we would all meet for a trivia. So really, it was just kind of, whoever was interested in doing what, or some people would sleep in or take a nap. So it was kind of nice that we were able to do stuff together, but then also break off and do our own things that interested us.
Yeah,
Choose
that's
your own
the
adventure
best thing.
cruising is the best part about cruising, I think.
Yeah.
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 And it's honestly the best thing I think about like larger group cruising, or larger group vacationing, right? Because you all are going to be in the same place for dinner, because you're scheduled to be there, right? It's not like if you're out in a city and you all get stuck in different places and so you end up eating in different ends of a town. No, you're all going to be eating and hanging out in the evening together, and you do whatever you want during the day, and that's always a fun way to do it. When we have cruised with groups, that's the way we like to do it. It's just y'all meet up at dinner, and we might meet up for a drink or something before, but yeah, choose your own adventure. Love it. Did you hit up the spa while you were on board?
So we were not planning on doing the spa, but one day when we got back to our rooms and our little fish thing, there was these cards from the spa, and it said, "Thank you for celebrating your birthday on board. Like here's a $50 spa credit." But it wasn't either of our birthdays, but we had each gotten a $50 credit. So we just went to the spa. It was for you could use it on like a port day, it
Mhm.
said. So we just kind of went over there just to see what it was about, and they were able to get us both in for a massage. It was supposed to be on our second Castaway Cay day. but that was the day that ended up getting canceled. So it ended up being on a sea day, our massage. So it was super nice. We got a couples massage. We were both in the same room. And it was really relaxing. We don't usually get massages at
Mhm.
home, so it was a very nice treat for us to be able to do that.
That's awesome, and
Nice.
happy birthday, I guess, unbirthday.
Yeah.
That's
And they
hilarious.
still honored it. We're like, "It's not our birthday," but they're like, "Yeah, it's fine."
That's fine. Yet, they tend to do specials, not necessarily $50 off, but they always, they do specials, but only on port days, so you got really lucky that it ended well, lucky or unlucky, right? I guess
Yeah.
the way you look at it.
Yeah, well, we
You
booked it when it was supposed to be a port day, but then when the
Right.
day came, it was not a port day.
Exactly, exactly.
The
So
cruelest birthday gift of all, though, a $50 spa coupon because nothing in the spa is
nothing is
$50 or
$50.
less.
That's true,
That
that's
is true.
so I feel like we should talk about the ports a little bit because you were supposed to have 2 Castaway days and a Nassau day, but Hurricane Ian put a wrench in those plans. So where did you guys end so you had 5 days. Tell us what the itinerary was supposed to be. Miami, sea, and then what, I presume?
So it was supposed to be Miami, Castaway Cay, and then Nassau, and then Castaway Cay again, and then a sea day, and then return.
So
So
the
the
beloved
Yeah,
sea day at the on the back end, that's actually I will tell you, that's like the perfect itinerary other than Nassau. It's the perfect
yeah,
itinerary.
it was going to be really nice. So the first change they made is that they switched our Nassau day for the sea day, so they just swapped those. So we went to Castaway Cay the first day as planned, and then that night at the show, they announced that we weren't going to be able to get to Nassau the next day, so that they were going to postpone that to our last day.
Mhm.
And then the Castaway Cay day, they tried for the second one, but it was just way too windy, so we just went right past the island, and they tried to bring us to some calmer waters for the day.
Mm, yeah.
That's a
Well, it's a
bummer to miss
bummer.
Castaway.
Yeah, it's a
It
well,
was.
but you at least got to have 1 day at Castaway, so it's a
We
bummer you
did.
didn't yeah, it's a bummer you didn't get a second day, but I will tell you there are sometimes people who are supposed to go to Castaway only once and don't get even 1 day at Castaway because of the winds, so I'm glad they were able to find calmer waters for you guys to still enjoy your trip, and also that your whole trip didn't get either canceled or so I don't know, some people like to get extended, other people don't like to get extended, but you're lucky to be able to get back.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, despite the hurricane. Well, tell us what you guys did on your Castaway day. Did you book any excursions or anything on Castaway?
So we had gotten that package that included the snorkeling, the bike rental, and the tube rental. And we also had rented like a half hour time on the double kayak. So when we first got there, we like our kayak appointment was one of the earlier things that we had because I think we got off. I think we docked a little bit later than we were supposed to, and we kind of just took our time getting off. So we got off pretty close to when our kayak time was, which was at 10. But the water looked really wavy. So we asked if they thought that it was going to be kind of challenging to kayak, and they said it might be if you're not experienced. So they said that the aqua bike was actually a lot easier to do and less likely to tip over.
Oh,
So like
fun.
that sounds great. We'll do that. So we did that, and that was super fun. That was not bad at all to do in the wavy water.
That's
Um,
good. Yeah.
yeah, so we did that, and then after that, we did the regular bikes, the land bikes. So we rode all the different paths and went to that lookout tower,
Mhm.
and that was fun. And we stopped and we saw our friends who were at Serenity Bay relaxing and waved to them, and then continued on with our bike ride. And then we did the snorkeling. Um, I enjoyed it. My husband did not enjoy it, so we did not get super far. We basically just got to that sign that said, "You might see hidden treasure," and then turned
Mm.
around and went back. But maybe next time I'll find someone to do snorkeling with me a little bit further out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Um,
snorkeling area is big. It is a big area, and it is a lot of swimming, and you can get pretty tired out there. So yeah, I've done it a couple times, and CM's done it a couple times. But yeah, that is a big area. I'm curious.
I never go very far out though because I'm a chicken. So
I'm curious. Did anyone in your group do the 5K?
people were planning on doing it the second day, but they
Ah,
didn't get to. So
okay.
that was kind of a bummer, but I was never really planning on doing it, so that wasn't a big loss for me, but some of the more fit members of our group were a little disappointed.
Yeah, I'm curious what the metal situation is these days, because we've heard that they ran out and then they had new ones, and so I'm just curious what's actually going on the island.
Yeah.
Where did you end up for the day? After all of this activity, did you find a spot on
I
the
know. I
beach to
mean,
just relax?
you're saying like you're acting like you were lazy, but you did like a water bike, you did a regular bicycle, you did snorkeling. I'm thinking you're like super duper fit because you're doing all this stuff in really hot weather on Castaway. So
Oh, I don't
good
know
on
about
you,
that.
Sarah.
Well, thanks. But yeah, so after that, we were ready for lunch, and we just kind of texted our group to see if anyone else was getting lunch, and ended up meeting a couple people at Cookies too, because that was close to where we were after the snorkeling. So we ate there, and then after that, we made our way over to Serenity Bay just to kind of relax for the afternoon.
Your Serenity
Nice.
Bay fans didn't convince you to go to the Serenity Bay barbecue instead of Cookies too?
I think some of them ate there, but the people who were ready to eat when we were ready to eat were over by Cookies too, so we just
All
went
right.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fine. I've heard that the food can be kind of hit or miss at all of the places on Castaway Cay, and there were some items that I thought were really good and some that were just okay, but nothing was
Yeah.
bad. So we enjoyed our lunch.
Yeah, I don't
Nice.
think the food is, like, anything to write home about on Castaway, I'll be honest, like, I mean, I usually just get, like, a hamburger because I don't think the chicken or the ribs are really that good, the ones on the Wish are way, way better, um, but Serenity at least has, like, steak, but we never get to go there anymore, so we
Oh,
haven't
yeah, it's
been to
hard with a kid.
Serenity. Yeah, we haven't been to the Serenity Bay barbecue now in several years, and, but I do remember the steak being probably one of the better items. But yeah, like I said, I don't think the food on Castaway is bad. It's just nothing to, it's no truffle persets. It's
Yeah.
no warm sticky
Yeah.
date pudding or sea
Yeah.
bass or,
It's burgers. It's burgers and sides.
Right.
It's a barbecue, so
Yeah.
I don't know why you
Yeah.
would expect truffle
Macaroni
persets.
salad. I know, I'm not. I'm just
Oh
saying it's
my.
not like anything. Yeah. Okay, so, how were you guys there for the full day? So you hang out at the beach at Serenity after lunch?
Yeah, so we started out there, and we were there probably for like, I don't know, like an hour, hour and a half. And we just kind of floated in the tubes, but then a really big storm cloud came and it like torrential downpoured. We, in hindsight, we probably should have found somewhere to like wait it out, but we kind of all panicked because it was really, really, really heavy rain, and we all went back to the ship, and there was just a huge crowd of people who all obviously wanted to get back on the ship too. So it took quite a bit of time to actually get back on the ship. But by the time we sailed away, the weather was much better. So in hindsight, we should have stuck it out and enjoyed those last couple of hours. But oh well. It was
Yeah,
nice to go back and get dry and take a shower and just kind of have some more time on the ship. So that it was good.
yeah. Castaway gets super hot, like, we usually don't stay till super late, like, till the end of the day, unless we have a cabana. If we have a cabana, then I'm, like, sucking the marrow out of that day, and, I'll be there till I'll be, like, the last person back on the ship, but if I don't have a cabana, which I haven't had a cabana except twice ever, um, yeah, so we don't stay because it just gets too hot, like I said. But also, we've had a torrential downpour as well. That's kind of a thing in the Caribbean, as you may imagine.
Yes.
So, what about Nassau? So, Nassau, you were supposed to have on your second day. Instead, you had it on your last day, or your last full day, I should say. Did you have any excursions planned there, or what kinds of activities did you have planned, if not formal excursions?
Yeah, so we were not planning on getting off of the ship at all at that port. But with the canceled Castaway Key Day, I was just like very anxious to feel land again. So there were a few of us who felt that way, and we just kind of got off just for the sole purpose of being on land. And
Mhm.
we just kind of wandered around. There was someone in our group who kind of looked up like what there was nearby. And there was something called the Queen's Staircase that they wanted to go see. So we walked and we saw that. And just kind of wandered around. We looked at the people having a good time on the beach, and then just kind of made our way back to the ship. So we probably walked around for about an hour. We didn't eat or buy or do anything. We just walked around, but it was kind of fun just to see what was going on and be on land a little bit. And it was a good way to spend an hour that morning.
Awesome. Yeah, that's
Nice.
always I mean, I will say Brian, I'm trying to think if I don't think I've ever actually gotten off in Nassau. Brian gets off often just to do a little walk around, send a postcard, that sort of a thing.
I've gotten off
Nice.
Okay.
once. I've gotten off once, and I went to the
I
straw
thought you
market,
got
which
a
everyone raved about. I've only been off in Nassau. I've been off in Nassau on other cruises to go to Atlantis, but I only ever stepped foot off of Disney ship in Nassau. I think one time, maybe twice, but
No,
never
you
again.
have done it.
Never
You
again.
have done it 2 or 3 times because I know you have gotten off just to mail a postcard
Yeah, that
at
only
least
happened.
one time.
The postcard only happened once. The postcard only happened once, and there's the reason I won't go back off because I was wandering around asking people where I could mail the postcard, and no one seemed to be able to answer the question. So, um, with anything less than an aggressive push for a cab ride, so I was yeah. So no, I only mailed a one. We only have one postcard in our collection from Nassau for that reason. So
Oh,
yeah,
all
yeah.
right, fair enough. Your memory is better than mine on
Well,
that.
I got to talk. I want to ask about Remy, Sam. We
Yeah,
we did
yeah,
all the
for sure.
food, and then you lopped it off. You lopped off the best
I
experience. I
know.
want to hear about
I
Remy. I
know.
want to hear about Remy.
I know. I said we were going to save it for later in the show. Now it's later in the show, so perfect.
All right, all right. So Remy, how was it? Was it everything you hoped it would be, or some people, if they're not adventurous, Remy is not their thing. So I'm curious how Remy was for you.
It was wonderful. So we had an early reservation. We had 6 o'clock, which is the earliest you can get. So when we got there, it was still like bright and sunny out. So we had a table where we were overlooking the water, and we could kind of throughout our meal watch the sunset. So that was perfect. That was really nice. And of course, the food was amazing. So I did the American side, and my husband did the French side, and we each got the wine pairing, and we just shared our foods. So we got to try both menus.
Yes, that
Yeah,
is
it was a way to do
exactly
it.
that is exactly what Brian and I do. I get the American side, he gets the French side. We get at least one wine pairing. I will say we haven't done both wine pairings. We've done that. Well, we have done both wine pairings and it was too much wine, but we've done it where we've actually split a wine pairing, and that's a great way to do it too. But yeah, awesome. I love it. What did you think of the Colette? The
That
best.
was really good, and it was just fun to watch them make it and explain the little story with it. So that was really nice. That was a great way to start the meal. And they also did that little amuse bouche. That was the little. It was I don't even know how to describe it. It was like a little stuffed bite-sized thing that had tomato soup inside,
Tomato
and it
soup,
was
yes.
yeah, it's so good.
You know, they have switched that up sometimes, and I remember we were on the ship with our friend, and we went to Remy for dinner. We actually ended up going to we I think we were what did I'm trying to remember. We like told them we loved the tomato soup amuse bouche, and they weren't doing it, and then they specially did it for us because this
Aw.
was on the Fantasy. This was in 2019, I think it was. But yeah, that is like literally the best like single bite of that. I don't
It's
know,
so
maybe of
good.
that
So much
meal.
flavor in that tiny
Yeah,
bite.
so good. I love that you guys love that. Yeah. Well, obviously you guys are adventurous eaters. I know that you didn't get a chance to try Paulo, and I know obviously you did get a chance to have main dining. Um, did it make main dining like I don't know, less impressive because you went to Remy? I don't know. I feel like some people like in making the decision of whether or not to go to adult dining, I think there is one part of the calculus is sort of like, will it make every other meal pale in
I don't think
comparison?
that's part of anyone's calculus, Sam. I think you
Well, it is
literally
part
just
of
made that calculus up.
no, it's part of my calculus of whether or not to recommend going to like Remy or Paulo to people because I'm like, well, will you like hate main dining then because you're
I
spoiled by
I only my calculus for recommending Remy or Palo is only if you're only on like a 3-night cruise, and it's your first time, no, go to the
Right.
rotational dining so you can experience all of it. If you're on a 3-night or longer sailing and you're not an adventurous eater and you're not particularly into pirate night, I would recommend using that for one adult dining opportunity. And then for me, it just comes down to how adventurous are you? Have you experienced sort of real fine dining before? And if you're a big fan, Remy. If not, Palo. And either way, both are good. But yeah, I don't think I temper my recommendation based on, well, once you go there, you're just going to eat there every night, because you're not. Because you're not. It's good, but you're not.
Yeah.
So
Well, the next night was pirate night, so I feel like going
Oh,
from
yeah.
Remy to pirate night was
yeah,
was a little rough.
wah wah wah. Yeah,
Yes. See, so I was right, but maybe even made more right by the fact that you had Pirate Night. Yeah, Pirate Night menu, and we say this a lot. Like they changed it. It was different before the pandemic than it is now, and I will say it's better now than it was pre-pandemic. But it's still, I think, the weakest of the menus on board.
for sure.
Um, yeah, and so I would much rather go to Apollo or Remy on Pirate Night than any other night. The only problem is sometimes you can't. It's not always the case that you can figure that out ahead of time. You can usually, but you might have to call Disney and wait on hold. Sometimes somebody in your Facebook group will have done that and found that out. So just a pro tip out there: if you are looking to experience Apollo or Remy for dinner, um, I will say the best night to do it is Pirate Night. And Sarah, I think you were smart in not having your adult dining on like Animator's Palette because you don't want to miss the show. But you did miss a really good menu because the Royal
Yeah.
Palace Royal Court menu with the Chateaubriand and the escargot, and a lot of people like the souffle. I'm not a souffle person, but I know tons of people love that dish. That's the menu you missed at Royal Palace Royal Court. Um, it's not the end of the world. You'll go again, I hope. And
Yes,
Well,
definitely. It's a good reason to go back.
you just cut the legs out from under my final question, Sam. Oh my gosh.
sorry.
Oh my
Sorry,
gosh.
Brian.
I
Brian's gonna kill me. Okay, but
also
we
I
we
also
have
don't
there's
like this. I also don't like this trend of dining shaming.
I'm not dining
She missed a
shaming. Listen,
restaurant. She missed a restaurant.
no,
Well,
no, I'm
what
not
I
trying
will
to dining
say,
shame.
so we actually did call ahead of time to figure out like what was pirate night, and
Mhm.
I believe they changed it because we had called and was told it was the night that we had booked Remy, and people had
Oh.
posted in our Facebook group that that was pirate night, and that was the night that you could book the pirate makeover. But
Oh,
when we got on the ship, pirate night
they
was
changed
a
it.
different night. So
Yeah,
we
it may have had
tried,
to do.
but
It may,
we're not
it may have had.
successful.
It may have had to do with the change in
Fireworks.
itinerary too. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Could have
yeah.
been.
Yeah, I'm looking ahead for weather. They might have said we need to do the fireworks on this night because the wind's going to be too bad on another night or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I bet that's what happened. But yeah, so you were smart. You did everything right, Sarah. I mean, you
We
did
tried.
everything right. Yeah, you try. Sometimes things, sometimes you can't help the way that the itineraries change. I will say, I will always try and find out ahead of time what shows are going to be on what night, and sometimes you can't find out until like a week before, as far as the order, and even then oftentimes they change it just based on, let's say somebody in one of the shows gets sick or something and they need to rejigger things, so that
Mhm.
kind of stuff happens all the time. But speaking of shows, we haven't talked about shows. Sarah, did you get to go to the beautiful Walt Disney Theater and watch some amazing theater at sea?
We did, yes. Tying it back into Remy, Remy ended up being the night that Beauty and the Beast was playing. So that was another thing. And
No.
honestly, we could have made it. Like if we had like bolted right from dinner down to Beauty and the Beast, we could have made it. But we were so full from the dinner
Mhm.
that we just wanted
You
to
couldn't
lie
have sat
down.
you couldn't have sat through the show. I
No,
mean, yeah, yeah.
but we did watch it on the stateroom TV.
Oh,
So not quite the same, but at least we got the gist of what it would have been like in person, and it looks like it would have been a great show. So next time we'll definitely have to see it in person.
yeah.
But we did watch the Golden Mickeys and Believe. Um, they were both super cute. The Golden Mickeys was the first night, and Believe was the last night. So we enjoyed both of those. Golden Mickeys, I think we would go again if we brought our kids to see it. I don't
Mhm.
know that we would feel the need to watch it again ourselves. But it was cute, and the Believe, I liked that one. I thought that was a little bit more um, something I would maybe go watch again, even if we didn't have our kids with us.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
definitely.
that. Yeah, and then the other nights they had Hocus Pocus playing. The first one, not the second one. The second one premiered while we were on the ship, so they showed that on our last day in the theater, like during the day. But second night they showed the original Hocus Pocus in the theater, and then
Nice.
another night there was one of the like magicians or someone like that, but we did
Mhm.
not make it to that show.
So, speaking of Hocus Pocus, was this a Halloween on the High Seas themed cruise or
Yes, it
not?
was. Yes.
Oh,
Ah,
wow.
did you all do costumes? And I mean, you've got this big group. You could perhaps like be all the different, I don't know, characters from Toy Story or something. There's like a million characters in Toy Story.
Or
But
Inside
did you
Out.
guys do or Inside It? I mean, there's a ton of, yeah. Did you guys do costumes and did you do some of the Halloween events?
Yeah, so we did all costumes to various degrees within our group. There was of our staterooms that they all dressed up as Huey, Dewey, and Louie. So
Oh,
that was super
cute.
cute. Most people did just kind of like Disney bounding type thing where they just wore clothes that like resembled a character. My husband and I were super creative and got shirts from Old Navy that were just white shirts that said "Pretend I'm a Ghost" on them and wore those.
That's cute. I like
Yeah,
that.
so yeah, there was various degrees of costumes, but we did make it to that show that they had on the deck, the masquerade performance with the
Mhm.
characters and the dancing, and I thought that was super cute, and it was fun to watch like the kids, in front of the stage going nuts watching the show. So I did enjoy that a lot. We
Awesome.
Nice.
watched that like tree show where they have like
Mhm.
the little story about the pumpkin tree, and that was cute.
Awesome.
Nice.
Now,
Nice.
you just mentioned children, that you have children, but they weren't on the cruise with you.
That's correct.
Please tell me more.
Well, it was so we cruised in September, so they had, just started school. So we weren't really interested in pulling them out quite that early. My daughter just started kindergarten, so that was
Mhm,
just too much to kind of pull her out right away. But also we just really needed an adult time away. We never gone away that long before without our kids.
mhm,
So it was really nice. I was a little nervous though with like the hurricane and like with
mhm.
COVID, like what if we had gotten stranded in Miami and couldn't get back? But everything worked out good. There was no hiccups getting there or back. But it was nice
Good.
to have that time just for the two of us.
Now, do the kids know that you were on a Disney cruise, or do they just think you
They
were on a
do.
cruise? Oh,
Yes.
so was that so we don't lie to our kid either. We tell him we went in September to Norway without him on a Disney cruise, and he knows it, right? So, I'm curious, what was their reaction, and are they itching to get you guys to take them on a cruise?
Well, spoiler alert for Brian's last question. We do have a cruise booked with them, and we had that booked already before we left. So they knew that they were going to get a chance. So they weren't that upset, and they got to stay with my mom and my husband's mom. So they were looking forward to one-on-one time with their grandparents. So
Oh, that's
they were
so
good.
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Well,
Nice.
cool.
Well,
I love it.
therapy is, something people do these days, so, I'm sure the kids will be fine, but, yeah.
Well, no, listen, I want to tell you, Sarah, we love talking to people about adult only cruising, even though we have a kid, obviously. Um, but I also love hearing when other parents decide to take a cruise with just their spouse and maybe some friends. And I'm not saying that we
You
don't
just
love
like to
our
have your
children.
you just like to have your personal choices validated by the actions of others. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Exactly. I'm not saying we don't love our children or in our case, our child. I'm just saying sometimes you need a vacation from being a parent. And I do think, and I will tell you, I have a therapist that will vouch for this, that it is extremely important. to have time one-on-one with your partner, especially when you're a parent. There's a lot of stress that comes along with that. So it's
You've
good
got a
to
framed
reconnect.
prescription for a vacation someplace. Is that what you're saying?
I'm sure she would write it as a prescription if I asked her to. Okay.
There you go. Let's see if we can get our next Disney cruise covered by insurance. I'm sure that they won't have any issues with that. What's the billing code, Primera?
I love it.
Well, Sarah, what have we not covered from your Disney cruise that stood out for you as a first-time cruiser? Either something that was just really blew your mind, or something that you were like, "Huh, I didn't realize it was gonna be like that."
Well, we enjoyed the beverage seminars. I don't think we touched on those yet.
Oh yeah.
Those were super fun. So we did two of them. We did the chocolate and liqueur tasting, and
Mhm.
we also did mixology. The chocolate and liqueur, I think that one was my favorite from like a tasting experience perspective, because they did a lot of stuff where you would taste the alcohol and then you would take a bite of a different kind of chocolate and then taste the alcohol again, and it was really interesting to see how it changed the taste of the alcohol. So I felt
Mhm.
like that was more like informative and like
Why have I
interesting.
not done this one? This one sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was great. There was like a red wine, a port wine, Grand Marnier, and then like a scotch at the end, and they
Oh,
had you do different things with different chocolates and different cheeses. But that was really fun. Mixology, I liked it. It was a lot of alcohol, like a lot, um, and I just don't think it was as interesting, like from a tasting perspective. But the person who taught the class, like he had great stories and just a lot of very interesting tidbits to share. So I enjoyed, I think, listening to that one more, but I enjoyed the
mm,
tasting aspect of the chocolate and liqueur one.
cool.
And then, yeah, the other thing that we did is we played bingo. And we did it twice. We did it once on the first day, and then we didn't win at all. And then second or the last day of the cruise, I did the $10,000 jackpot bingo, and that was exciting because we didn't win $10,000, but we did win what ended up being the jackpot for that. So that was super exciting.
Oh my goodness,
Nice.
how much did you end up winning?
We won $6,500. Yeah.
Holy
Whoa!
cow!
No wonder
You
you
Yeah,
won
so
booked
a
it
another
was
cruise.
cruise.
Yeah, you won a cruise. Yeah.
yeah, so it was basically like a free trip. But yeah, so
Amazing.
I didn't think we were going to win. Like I was already kind of like plotting like our exit. I was like, oh, well, because we were trying to meet our friends. I was like, if we go this way around, we can drop our boards off real quick and make our way out. But then like towards the end, like I got a bunch of numbers really close together, and we ended up winning. So
Holy
yeah.
cow.
Which I'm
I
sure they
I
just
don't know
promptly
that
added.
I've
I'm sure they just promptly added your winnings as an onboard credit on the last day, and you had to find a way to spend $6,000 on board. Shopping spree, I'm
Well,
sure.
no, logistically though, I am curious, Sarah, how did they give you your winnings? Do they write you a check? Do they credit it to your account? Like what's
Mickey bucks.
yeah,
They come in Mickey
we've
bucks.
well, no, I mean, I'll be honest, I've never talked to somebody who's won more than a couple hundred
Disney
dollars at bingo.
Disney gift
Yeah,
card.
when we won, there was like a crew member who like came over to us and said, "You'll have to follow me to guest services." And he was like on like a walkie-talkie, like talking to someone
Mhm.
over there, and we had to follow him. And he like brought us to the side of the table there, and they gave us an envelope filled with cash. Like they counted out the cash right in front of us. So we were holding on to this envelope of cash that we had to fly home with.
That's, like, terrifying, right? I
Yeah, it was
mean,
pretty wild.
oh
And we
my
filled out
god.
like a tax form. So I think they said if it's
Mhm.
anything over $2,500, you have to fill
Yeah.
out like the IRS tax form. So we filled that out, and then we just had our envelope of cash that we flew home with.
Now, did you have to
Wow.
stop for something to declare on the way off the boat? Because sometimes too, like large purchases, large amounts of cash leaving, like you have to go through customs on that. I don't remember what the dollar amount is, but did you get stopped at customs around it at all?
No, we did not.
Okay, okay,
I don't
that's
know if
good.
it's
Interesting.
because we had filled out that tax form. I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but yeah, we didn't
Yeah,
have to
maybe.
stop.
yeah,
Weird.
nice,
Wow. Well,
nice.
congratulations, Sarah. I mean, I feel like you had to have a good cruise or at least to have a good impression after
Yeah, I mean, when it's
that.
basically free, you can't really
Yeah.
find anything to complain about.
Guess who's playing bingo in the foreseeable future aboard Disney Cruise Line? Yeah. Oh, I wasn't even thinking about you, Sam. I was thinking about Sarah, but yeah, nope. I've just lost you to
No,
bingo on board
he's
Disney
just
Cruise
he's
Line now
lost me.
too.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny. I've actually I think only played bingo on Disney Cruise Line maybe like once or twice. But I used to, when we went on cruises with Brian's folks on Celebrity Cruise before we had Nathan, it was like every bingo session, like myself and Brian's dad, we were at like every bingo session. But that was a little bit different because I'll be honest, I wasn't paying for bingo back then.
Oh.
I didn't have to buy my own bingo machine or cards. So yeah, that's the difference. It was free for me, and then if I won, I would get to keep. And I think I won one time, like $100 or something. So yeah,
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
Sam
a
is also
big.
the person who will be the most frugal purchasing something, but then look at
Oh
me
yeah,
from the couch and say, "We got to go buy a Powerball ticket. It's up to 1.6 billion."
I
So you
I
can't win if you don't
literally
play.
this was me yesterday. Yesterday or no, Friday. I can't remember which day.
No, it
I
was
don't know all the
yesterday.
days.
It was yesterday.
Yeah.
It was yesterday. You were like, "We got to get a ticket before
Yeah.
whatever the drawing time
It was
was," and
1.6 billion. I don't know if anybody won it. We'll see.
I
they
don't
did
think they
not.
did. I think it's 1.9 now.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
guess who
goodness.
will be
So
going to the gas
So
station to get a ticket? Yeah,
I
there you
think
go.
tomorrow. I think the next drawing is probably tomorrow. So yeah, I'm thinking we
Yeah.
have to go. So if I'm going to tell you, if this podcast ends and we quit our jobs and just like move to, what is it called? Golden Oaks,
Golden
right?
Oaks. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I would do too.
Yeah, if we just moved to Golden Oaks, then you
Sam,
know
with
why. It's because I won the Powerball.
Sam, single winner $1.9 billion jackpot, we could probably buy one of the Disney ships. There you go. It's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Yeah, I am looking at it right now, 1.9 billion Powerball, and it is on Monday. So we're
There you go.
taping the
There you go.
show
There you go.
on November the 6th. It's Monday, November the 7th is the drawing. So
Yes.
wow.
Well, Sarah, anything we missed about your sailing you want to be sure to share before I shift us over to the rapid fire round here?
I think we covered it all. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we have reached that point in our show when I need to hand you over to Sam for some arbitrary questions with arbitrary rules and a dash of arbitrary judgment, or the round we call a rapid fire. So, Sam, you want to take it away?
Absolutely. All right. I'm not going to give you the rules, Sarah. I know you listen to the show. So this is rapid
Because there
fire.
are no rules. There are no
Well,
rules.
or or a lengthy explanation. So, Sarah, who is your favorite Disney or Pixar character?
I like Minnie Mouse.
Yeah, why not? Classic. Yeah. Favorite
when
Disney.
When Sam found out that they were selling the minivans at Disney World, or there was the rumor that they didn't.
There was a
she
rumor.
Was like, oh, I want to go buy one.
I wanted to buy a minivan for sure. Yes.
I drive a minivan in real life, so I could, deck mine out to look like those.
You need to have it wrapped. You need to have it wrapped in polka dots. Okay. Your favorite Disney or Pixar movie?
Encanto, because that's the only one that my kids will really watch often. So that's on the most in our house.
Yeah. Well, and then this is a super important question, especially in light of you saying Encanto. What is your favorite Disney song?
Well, probably I do love the Encanto soundtrack, but favorite of all time, probably Circle of Life from The Lion King.
Oh yeah. That's wonderful. And that's probably why you loved Believe so much, because the best scene in all of Believe is a Circle of Life musical number, right?
Yes, that was excellent. Yes.
All right. What was your favorite bar space on board the Disney Dream?
We liked Meridian, so we would we went there twice on days where we were leaving the port, and it was just really nice to go out there and with your drink and watch the ship sail away from the port. It was very peaceful. Yeah, we enjoyed that.
Also a good spot to watch fireworks from on Pirate
I remember
Night.
you said that, Tiff. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What is your favorite space on the ship outside of Meridian?
We honestly did not stay put in a certain location that much. We really just enjoyed wandering. So this is not really a space, but the activity that I enjoyed most was Midship Detective, just because you got to go all over and see all the different things. So I was just a wanderer the whole time, never really stayed put in one spot for too long.
Love it. That's part of why I love doing Midship as well. I feel like it just gets you walking all around the ship. It gets you moving, and it's just a fun way to explore. So I love that. All right. Favorite rotational dining?
Probably Enchanted Garden, just for the food aspect of it. I really liked
Mhm.
that sea bass, and if I had more room in my stomach, I know I would have loved that pudding.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought the food there was the best out of the 2 we tried.
Awesome. All right. Favorite show you got to see on board?
It definitely would have been Beauty and the Beast if we didn't watch it on the TV, but out of the 2 that we actually saw, I would go with Believe.
Yeah. I I think that is the perfect analysis. It is Beauty and the Beast is the best that's on the Dream, and it might be the best on the whole fleet, to be perfectly honest. But even watching it on the TV, you could tell how good it was. So that's
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
yeah, that's a testament to how good it is. Okay, I need to know what your favorite savory food item was on board.
Oh. I mean, pretty much anything from Remy, hands down, would have been the best.
Nice.
But outside of Remy, the truffle prissettes I thought were very good.
Yes, exactly. Okay, favorite sweet item on board.
Um, I don't know that we really had that many desserts. At Remy, though, there was an aloe vera dessert on the French side, and
Oh.
that was just like the perfect. It sounded weird before I tried it, but after the heavy
Yeah.
meal, it was just like the perfect amount of sweetness, but also like very refreshing. And I think that was probably my favorite dessert.
Ooh, yum. That
Interesting.
sounds really good. Yeah.
I've never heard
Yeah,
of
it was
people
like
eating
this.
aloe vera.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of like an ice creamy sorbet type thing. I'm probably describing it wrong. Someone who knows food better than me is like, that's not what it was, but it was really good. It was
Well,
Nice.
and yeah.
after a long day in the Caribbean sun, you can just sort of spread it on your arms, and
Yeah.
it, will help you out too.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna switch it up with this next question because you already gave me your favorite activity. I'm gonna ask you, what was your favorite activity on Castaway?
Um, I think the water bike was really fun. It was nice to like because we went first thing, so we were like the only ones out there in that
Mhm.
area where they have the boats and stuff, and it was really cool to be able to go kind of close to the ship and like have that view and have the view of the island, and it was just like a perfect way I think to kick off our day at Castaway.
Awesome. Okay, now my last question. Bucket list cruise. You could go anywhere in the world on Disney Cruise Line, and it doesn't even have to be someplace Disney Cruise Line currently goes. Where are you going, Sarah?
I'm going to give the answer that pretty much everyone gives you is that Mediterranean cruise. That just sounds amazing. The one that goes to Greece especially sounds super fun.
Yeah, you're right. That is a very, very common answer, but it's a good one. It's a great cruise
It's common
itinerary.
for a reason. Yeah, common for a
Yeah.
reason. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, Sarah, did
Well,
you
that
say what
concludes
you had
rapid
booked?
fire.
Sorry,
Sorry.
say that again, Sam.
I said, well, that concludes rapid fire.
Wait, say it one more time, but don't say I said. Just say it.
Okay. Well, that concludes rapid fire.
Awesome. Well, Sarah, you have another cruise booked. Where are you headed? Did you say?
So we are going on the Wish in February. We're going with our
Ah,
kids this time. We're also going with my parents and my sister and my brother-in-law. So there'll be another little group of us. And we're sailing concierge. So I'm hoping that doesn't spoil us for all future
ooh,
cruises.
yeah. Unlike
It's
Sam's
going to
comment,
spoil
yeah,
you. This
yeah.
is going to
Unlike
spoil you
Sam's
for all future cruises.
I was say, unlike Sam's comment about Remy, spoiling rotational dining, sailing concierge is tough. It's tough to not sail concierge after that. But yeah, so we have to have you back, Sarah, because there's no,
Yeah.
we've done all these first time cruising episodes. I really want to hear first time concierge experiences because I
Yeah.
know what our first experience was like, and so does my bank account. But I want, I want to find out from others if I'm just crazy. So after you sail concierge, please reach back out because I want to hear how it was for you and whether it changed your mind on whether you need to be sailing concierge on future sailings. So would love to have you back.
How many nights are you going to be sailing on the Wish?
4 nights.
Nice. Okay, so
Nice.
so you've got to go to all 3 rotational dinings, I will tell you. But if you find out which night pirate night is, book either your Enchante or your Palo for that night for sure.
So we
Because
actually
it's the
already,
same
we
menu.
already did that because our booking
Good.
window was a couple weeks ago. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, hopefully this time we have the rotation correct. And I said just to book Palo on Pirate Night. I didn't specify like a night. I just said we want it on Pirate Night. So
Perfect.
hopefully whatever
Well,
they have is Fire Night.
The
and the
deck
great
party is
thing with
worth seeing. The deck party is worth
yes,
seeing on Pirate Night. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we did book it earlier. We booked it at 6:30, so hopefully we'll be done in
you'll be
time to
done.
get to the deck party.
Oh yeah, for sure. One thing, when you get on, when you're concierge, you'll go to the concierge sit down lunch and meet your concierge hosts. And at that time, if you need to make any changes to your itinerary, like your adult dining, anything like that, they can do it right then and there. So that's where you can check your app to make sure it is in fact Pirate Night that you've got it booked for. But if it's not, you can change it
Oh,
because
nice.
this is the one thing people don't realize. I mean, you can change it even if you're not selling concierge, but concierge is basically first dibs for a lot of those things. So you can get things rejiggered if you need them to.
Awesome. Yeah, because we definitely with our kids don't want to miss any of the rotational dining experience with them.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, Sarah, it's been fabulous having you on and hearing all about your first Disney Cruise Line experience. And as I said, we can't wait to have you back to hear about your first concierge sailing experience. So please reach out after that. But just thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share your experience with our listeners. We really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.